out of our biggest failures comes actually our biggest successes, because that taught me so much more not to win at that moment.
Welcome to GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, aka the Going North Podcast, where authors from around the world help you realize that success is tangible. You'll leave with at least one new piece of inspiration or information to help you keep going north every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, it's the Going North Podcast, and we got a guest that could probably fit all three of those G's and freaking more, because my goodness, gotta thank my main man, Bananas Foster. Robert Foster of the Shut Up and Grind Podcast, baby, that's right. Fellow motivational speaker, storytelling coach. Check him out like a library book. He's got great stuff. And he's interviewing a lot of great people, and dude is full of energy indeed. And heck, he can even help you get a 6-pack or maybe even that 8-pack set of abs you want. That's right indeed, because today's guest in particular, she is a best-selling author, y'all. That's right, an international best-selling author. She's a wife, so she's off the market, and for good reason. A mom of 3, actress, TV presenter, and international multi-award winning model. That's right, folks. That's right. She's off the market for good reason, y'all. And most of all, a child of the King, because she's a fellow Christian who loves the Lord Jesus indeed. So let's give it up for Miss Life is Good herself, Miss LG, Miss Lorna Greyling. How you doing today, Lorna?
Oh my goodness, wow. Can I take you with me everywhere I go? Because your introduction is phenomenal. I'm gonna pack you in, you know what I'm saying? And then wherever I go, you can just, do this and I can walk through the room. The whole atmosphere could be so different. Thank you very much. That was amazing.
Yeah, she was the best part of the show before the corn cobs here. Heck, even add on to that, maybe one day you get your husband to have a boom box with I'm Every Woman playing when you walk into a room.
I think that sounds good. I want to do that. I want to do this for my kids. You know what I'm saying? So that I can enter with authority. Because when you have teenagers in the house, that's a whole different level of my mom doesn't know what she's talking about. So I think if I can have that kind of introduction, every time I enter their bedrooms, that would be good. That would be good. Like, do you know who you're talking to? It's the mom.
Yeah. That's
Anyway.
right. Especially at 4:30 a.m. That'll teach them.
Yes, exactly. That's a plan. That sounds like a plan. We should sell this, you know what I'm saying? And we should bottle this idea and sell it, to other parents of teenagers out there. You never know. We could make millions, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, that's right. For all the parents, indeed. That's right, indeed. Well, speaking of bottling, I hear you basically are somebody's genie in the bottle because you woke up like this, didn't you?
Oh my goodness. Wow. You know what? It's actually so amazing because just hearing you say all this is just a testament of the glory of God really shining through my life. Because I was at school, I was a very, very shy child. I really never wanted to stand up in class or read or in front of people. I was so scared. I remember when in school we had these, we had to read in class, and I would see the line coming, the one child reads, she sits down, the teacher calls the next one, so you could see it's coming closer to my turn. And by the time it was me having to stand up and read in class, I would just be a mess. The sweat would be running down my legs and my body. I would be shaking. I would be struggling to breathe. I would literally have a panic attack right there in my chair in class. And just having that as a child, and then working on live news, television, national news in South Africa is a great testament of what God can do in your life once he takes hold of you, and once you decide to just, hand over your life into his hands and say, all right, Lord, what do you have planned for me? Let's walk this road together. So I'm really honored to have this platform, to be on television and to have this modeling career that I really only started at the age of 36. It was after I already had children. There was not a lot left of my body. After you have 3 children, you have to kind of get yourself back in shape and see, all right, who am I again? And yeah, so it just shows it's never too late. I'm thinking of May Musk at the moment, who is also modeling at 70. She's on the cover of I think 74. She's on the cover of the new swimsuit illustrated magazine, and what an amazing story to know that your life, it's never too late. Dream big, because you never know what can go right. I just love it.
Heck yeah, Cougars be killing it, y'all. I'm telling you. That's right. They're putting the extra young chicks to shame, indeed. That's right. So that means by 38, we basically were graduating high school metaphorically. Yeah. But hey, that's one heck of a jump, though, because being a shy girl to being a news anchor to modeling when you're in your 30s, when a lot of folks who are silly say, hey, you're too quote unquote old to be doing something, when that's obviously a lie. Like, my goodness, what helped you to really get that confidence amped up like that, to where you actually got yourself on TV, to now, with, I believe, with your husband too, being one of the producers, to now having your own TV show?
Yeah, good question, right? So I think my journey started with the Lord. Literally, I think my daughter was about 2 years old, maybe a little bit younger, when I think my life was just so out of control. At that stage, I was suffering from severe depression, overworked, having no idea who I am, my value in this world, working super hard, never sleeping enough, and then just living a life very much out of my own stress, of my own abilities, very, very stressed. And I was in my room one day, and I was really, really considering taking my own life. And as I had the gun in the room, and everything was, so surreal, so severely depressed, so sad, to have that moment where you want to take your own life. It's not easy to describe that state of mind that you're in at that time, but somebody somewhere must have been praying for me, because I literally heard a voice in my room, and the voice said to me, ask me. And I thought, ask who? But I mean, everything is just so turmoil at that time. And again, the voice answered me, and it says, me, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I just started crying. And I just knew that God was in my room. I am not alone. For the first time in my life, I could feel the presence of God. And I had this outer body experience, if people want to call it that. I'm not sure how to describe it, but I literally felt like I left my body and I went into heaven. And I had a supernatural encounter and a meeting with Jesus Christ. And I could see him coming towards me. I just saw this figure, this man with brown sandals, a white robe, and I could see the holes in his feet. And I wasn't able to look up at his face. I was only able to hold my head down because of the shame and the guilt that I experienced at that moment. I just knew that I was not worthy to be in the presence of this king. I had done so many things wrong in my life. I was so sinful. There was no way I was worthy enough to sit in the presence that I am now, but he just still came to me in my sin, in my brokenness, and he touched my head with his hand. And as he touched my head, it literally felt like electricity that exploded throughout my body. It was the most incredible, surreal moment of my life. And it felt like I could feel his love. That's the only thing that went through my mind, is is this what love feels like? It feels like electricity, healing and running through my entire body and just literally changing my DNA. And that was the end of that moment. I kind of woke up, or however, I kind of came to my senses back in my room, in my house at that stage. And I just, thought, wow, like my whole life changed in 1 second, literally a second in the presence of the King, and everything changed. My mind, my outlook, how I saw myself, how I saw my life, my value, how I knew now I am not living for myself anymore, that I have a very direct plan and a purpose here on this earth, and that I need to, start finding out what it is and start living it. And from that moment on, everything just changed. The way I spoke, the way I did things. I started going to church, obviously, finding a church, finding people, started learning about God and Jesus and all those kind of things. And for the next couple of years, I was a mom. I had another child. I had a third baby. And so I went through my life. And then at the age of around 36, again, it was a very profound moment. I woke up one morning minding my own business and I got an SMS or a text, a message from a client of mine. At that stage, I had my own beauty spa, day spa, and aesthetic center. And I was on my way to work, and I got this text, and the message said, "Hi, Lorna, morning, how are you?" And she was just saying, I dreamt about you and I prayed for you this morning. And she said, I really believe you should enter the Mrs. South Africa, a pageant, beauty pageant. And I thought, what? I thought, what is this woman talking about? Mrs. South Africa? I mean, I knew there was a Miss, like for the young, the younger folks or women, or that come out of school, 18, 19, 21. I don't know how old models are, but 36, I had no idea there was even a market for that age. Nevertheless, that I had this message from God to enter it. I had no idea. I'd never done modeling before. So I just kind of discarded the message. I thought, oh my gosh, this woman is insane. I'm sure she misheard. I don't think, maybe she sent the message to the wrong person. So I just left it. I didn't think too much of it. But as I went to work, I got at work in the reception, I opened my emails, and the first email that I saw was an email from a entirely different client. And the email said, "Hi, Lorna, I'm just thinking of you. I feel in my heart you should look into this and enter." And she attached a link in the email, and I clicked on the link and I opened it, and here the whole Mrs. South Africa website popped up in front of me. I'm like, okay, this is bizarre, because now out of the blue on one day, I have now received text from a client, now I've received an email from a different client. So, okay, Lord, you've got my attention. What are you wanting to say to me? As I was just working throughout the day, there was this beautiful blonde woman that came into the spa, and she was so friendly and bubbly, and she just started talking about this journey that she had been on the past couple of months, and I thought, wow, that sounds amazing. What did you do? What journey was this? And she said, no, I entered Mrs. South Africa, the previous year, and just how it led her to do all these incredible things. I'm like, no. That is just impossible. 3 people on one day. So I prayed. I'm like, all right, Lord, if you want me to enter this beauty pageant or competition or modeling contest, whatever this is, show me, right? Like, as if 3 signs wasn't enough. I'm still arrogant enough to ask God for a 4th sign. I mean, how I look back now, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, Lorna, God can like explode a bomb in front of you and you wouldn't still not turn. But anyway, I asked for a 4th sign, and I drove home. And as I was driving home, I used to go over a mountain to reach my home from work. And on the top of this mountain, it's the most beautiful, serene moment. As you drive over the mountain, there's a place where the cross of Jesus is right in front of you, and the other side of the mountain with a big dam, and it's this really scenic, beautiful vision in front of you with the cross of Jesus and then this beautiful nature. I love going over that mountain. It's just that moment, that is so beautiful. And as I went over that mountain and this picture of beauty and the cross of Jesus in front of me, my car radio literally changed by itself to a new radio station. And they started the station, and the woman said, now here in studio, we have Mrs. South Africa of 2014. And they started this whole interview with then the current reigning Mrs. South Africa. And I thought, all right, well, this is very direct. This is truly, I have never experienced anything as bizarre as this 4 things happening to me on one day, with this really, now the car interview, that's bizarre. So I did, I followed the calling of the Lord, and then I just entered this pageant. And it was very different to what I don't know what I thought it would be like, but it was very different. It is incredibly hard work. People who think models just rock up and look pretty, it's not like that at all. I worked myself to pieces. Oh my goodness, you have to raise so much money. And, I worked such long hours, charity work, raising awareness, doing campaigns, always having to look good and, be healthy and dress up. And my goodness, it's really not easy. It looks really glamorous on the photos and on TV and in the magazines, but let me tell you, in real life, it's hard work. But I did it, and of course I thought I'm gonna win because God told me to enter, so of course I'm gonna win. So I went in with so much confidence, and on the final evening, on stage, they announced the winners, and I didn't even make the top 10. I was like, what? I came literally stone last. So I was devastated. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is, not right. How can I have this word and vision from God and come stone last? But that was that was how my modeling career started. And I always, I love this because out of our biggest failures comes actually our biggest successes, because that taught me so much more not to win at that moment than it would have to win. It really, I had to go and dig deep and build my character from there, pick myself up. You go all out, really put yourself out there, and to fall kind of flat on your face in front of all your friends, your family, everybody that's watching you, waiting for you to get that crown and to go out there and change the world, whatever they say models do, world peace. It's such humiliation, but working through that humiliation and getting myself back up there was such a phenomenal, extraordinary thing that I did. And I entered into another pageant. Someone had seen me in the Mrs. South Africa pageant, and they asked me to enter actually a bigger contest, which was the Mrs. Africa contest. And then, yes, I won that, which was incredible. And it was actually much bigger. And from there, I went on to the world stage in the USA, in Atlanta, Georgia. And I took the world title of Mrs. TCP Universe, which is across all the continents, transcontinentally, over the world. That is like the biggest accomplishment that I could have won. So I was very, very grateful for that. But yeah, it was about 3 or 4 years of very hard work, digging very deep. And from there on, once you work with that title, it's really nice because people start seeing you. So I got invited to all kinds of things. I started working on my acting skills. I got jobs on a film set, various different soapies in South Africa at the time, and then on the national news, which was really, for me, just an incredible end to my story as someone who really was so shy and so scared to be able to appear on national news as a news anchor that was phenomenal. So just all the glory to God.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about indeed. That's what I'm talking about indeed. And it said a couple things, a lot of sound bites, but one that stuck out to me the most is that you learned more from losing back in 2014 than winning would have ever showed you something, because it's so true. It's like when you lose something, it's like, oh, darn, this contest I thought I was going to win, but it's like you really analyze some things and then you change some things, then you end up becoming better in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love that. And the fact that I can have this story to tell now, is that from losing, you can actually gain so much more than from winning if you are willing to work with what you've got. I think a lot of times our dreams or our plans or our business or our marriage or whatever the case is fails in our eyes, and it kind of hits us down to the ground. But the key is not to stay down, not to stay fallen, but to get up and change what you can. Do that really deep soul searching, like work at yourself, keep working at your confidence, keep looking at, all right, Lord, what is it that you want to teach me? What is it that I can learn from this? How can I glorify your name through what is going on in my life? Because it's very painful to go through, especially a public kind of humiliation, or and I'm thinking, of even failed marriages or businesses. It's everybody's got their crowd around them, friends and family and people who, they I think want to impress, but we will have our our crowd around us that we fail in our eyes, really, that we fail too, and that they can witness our kind of humiliation or public humiliation in a way, but not to see it that way, really to understand that that's the enemy's way to get us to feel humiliated, to feel defeated, and to not want to try again or to not want to get up from that. The key is to just get up, keep going, keep on searching, and just asking God where to go from there, because that might really, like I say, my biggest failures was definitely my biggest success. It's the place that I learned so much about myself. um, Going back, saying, all right, Lorna, like what went wrong, and how are you gonna work from here? How are you gonna find the strength to get up? That is that emotional growth that happens in us when we do allow ourselves to get up again. That is very, very powerful. It humbles us. It gives us a great understanding for other people, and it makes us just so much stronger that we can then handle more, which means like God can give you more. If you can handle this, then maybe you have really big dreams, but you need emotional strength, you need emotional intelligence, you need to be able to have this experience to make you emotionally stronger. Otherwise you're not going to handle the big things and the big plans that God really has for you. But it's just to know that that is not the end, that is just the beginning, that failure, and to keep going. So that it's really, I'm very blessed and grateful to have been able to learn that. And then as well, for friends and family, especially my husband, he's such an amazing supporting factor in my life, where I would have not been able to do anything without him, because he's always on the sidelines, helping me get back up when I feel tired and defeated, and like, don't worry, babes, you can do this. And so that's really special if we do have a support system. But if we don't, we just know that God is always on our side, and he's always rooting for us, and we really have the Holy Spirit inside us and angels around us applauding us and wanting us to just reach amazing success. So we are never ever alone.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, speaking of your husband, I hear he's also in high demand because, if I'm not mistaken, before all these Wonderful trophies for career number 5 for you. Heard he got kidnapped in 2010 for his dad bod, right?
Yeah, he's worth quite a lot of money now. The thing is, he didn't have any life insurance at the time, so I thought, oh my gosh, we can't take the money machine away. We're gonna have to get him out of this situation.
Oh, you
If he
petty.
was insured, it might have been a whole different story. I would have like, no, you guys keep him. He never picks up his shoes. Let me think, what else is bugging me? No, it's okay, keep him. Yeah, no, it was really we like to joke about it at home as well. I think it's what keep our family quite sane is to just every now and again just make light of seriousness, because life can be so hard and so tough. And if we have the ability just to laugh about it, it really, really does help. It just changes our countenance and the atmosphere around us. But yeah, it was a very serious story. My husband is a sound engineer for big corporate sport campaigns. At that stage, he was working internationally on big sport events and broadcasting all over the world. And he was on a production in Nigeria, in Africa. And then when they got ambushed, basically on their way back from the sports stadium to the airport to fly out. And the kidnappers stopped their crew bus with guns. There were about 55 rebel forces around them, stopped the bus, pulled him out of the bus with guns, shot his friend, killed one of the colleagues right in front of him, just emptied a whole gun into his body, and kidnapped him. And then they chased with him. It's a horrendous story. It's literally like reading a movie. When you read what happened to him, it's absolutely incredible. But they took him and they actually hijacked quite a few cars. They took 12 hostages at the time, and he was one of them, and pushed all these people into the cars which they hijacked, and they just started speeding off, shooting people, shooting children, women, into buildings, cars. Just, it's like a war, literally a war zone. But eventually they did get to the place where they kept all the hostages for the next 10 days where he was held. And in this time, it was just an insane event. They would take off the clothes off his body and phone me at home, the rebels. They would phone me on my mobile phone, and they would be torturing my husband. So the only thing I would be hearing on the other side of the line was my husband screaming and begging literally for his life, as if it's going to be his last breath. So he would be screaming in agony and pain as they were torturing him, begging me, Lorna, please help me. They're going to kill me. Help me. And he would be screaming sound that I've never heard him make. And then the rebels would shoot and kill the phone. And there would just be dead silence. And I wouldn't know whether they have now actually killed him or not. And so, it was a crazy time. We had literally, like in the movies, I had reporters, trying to climb over my walls and fences at home, trying to get the story. And the media, it was just a media frenzy at the time. I had negotiators at my house. The company that he worked for at the time had all kinds of representatives and people in my home 24/7. There were just people everywhere trying to find out where he is and how we're going to get him out. And it was an absolute nightmare, living a nightmare. But what is phenomenal throughout my book, and what I hope that people can gather from our story, is how there's always this choice of which strength to stand in, because there were a lot of moments that I would definitely, want to stand in I can call it the world's strength and wisdom. I just grabbed onto kind of people around me, like trying to see how can we get him out, all these professionals with so much money and information and tools, and trying to find him, and there was just no hope. And then when I would go into my quiet spaces, just go into worship, just trusting the Lord to fill me with strength to get through this horrendous time. And when I would be in prayer, just that real peace and strength that would surround me and get me through this horrifying ordeal was amazing. And it's quite profound in the book as well. And I'm not going to say how we got him out. I would like people to go and buy the book. So it's called Kidnapped by Lorna Greyling, and it's on Amazon. You can just go and find it there. And it's a miraculous miracle story of how we eventually got him out from that hostage situation. So yeah, please go and read the book. But hopefully people will find strength inside of our story to know that whatever situation they go through, if you do trust in the Lord and you just really just allow yourself to be strengthened through him, he can get you through any situation, which is amazing.
Amen to that. That's what I'm talking about indeed. So is somebody gonna become a woman of the cloth? They're gonna start preaching soon?
I don't know about preaching. I think I do love to share my testimony at various churches. I do travel all around the world and, sharing our story of hope, which is amazing for me, just to be able to have this story and just share it with other believers. And I think we all need faith, and we all need someone daily and when we go to church weekly, just to be inspired and encouraged, because generally life is just very hard, especially now. I think now, the times that we are living in is tough. The economy, just internationally, what is happening all around the world, that already is really hard. But just normal life situations can be very overwhelming. So it's really important that, we surround ourselves with people that can encourage us and that has stories to tell, because that is so inspiring. And I think when we do share our stories of overcoming and of our own struggles and how we dealt with it, I think others can learn from it, and it leaves a legacy. And then it's not only just a painful story anymore. It's a legacy of hope that we can carry through over to others and to our children, which is why I'm so passionate about my television show at the moment. It's called Women Power TV. And we're on YouTube, but we're also airing on Distro TV and various other channels and networks. So we're very grateful. We have about 250 million users on all the platforms. And we just share stories of powerful women who have overcome, or who have really just, been able to, against all odds, create success in their own lives. And we learn from that. We find out, like, all right, how did they do it? What did they do? What was the choices they made? How did they get through their difficult times? And it's so inspiring, to hear where people come from and what they've created from it. And I think that's awesome, to have these stories around us and to listen to these kind of stories. And exactly like your podcast as well, is to really invest our time into things that can help us grow and be better people and inspire us, because that's what it's all about. If we're inspired, we can inspire our children, we can be better wives, mothers, just better selves, so that's really cool.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Cooler than 3 cucumbers. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Well, kudos to you. That's right. She's been making lemonade with extra sugar, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. And extra honey, indeed. Yeah, bringing all the good sweetness to the world. Indeed, that women power and having all these wonderful careers. So my goodness, so since you've been on a boatload of interviews and then some, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often when you're on the guest side of the game on these interviews?
I don't know if there's a question that I want to be asked. I'm trying to think what has been the most bizarre question that someone has asked me, but I guess I haven't really had, any severe, strange questions yet. I think most people always just want to know, like, how did your husband get out? So for that, they would need to go and read the book. I never share that kind of information. It's my promotional talk, it's the salesperson in me that comes forward. But I think, as a mother of 3 teenagers at the moment, I always joke around. I'm like, I now know why certain insects eat their young, because it's really to avoid the teenage years. I don't know if any other mothers out there feel my pain, but yeah, it's loads of fun. I'm joking. My kids are awesome. I have 3 beautiful daughters. They're now aged 19, 16, and 13. So we have a full house. And it's extraordinary to see how the stories in my life and the circumstances that has occurred in my life has also built my children and taught them, how to deal with circumstances. And I'm so grateful that I met the Lord early in my life when my kids were young, because it's beautiful to see my kids when they go through various things, or when they talk about their lives, and to hear how they speak and how they find strength, and that what they learn through it. And it's really only because I was able to walk with the Lord for so many years, and have that counsel wherever I don't know what to do, whenever I don't have any more advice, I'm at the end of my own rope, I'm in the dark, whether it's parenting, whether it's my marriage, whether it's a job, or whatever it is that I'm dealing with, that I can go on my knees in prayer, and that I can ask God to help me and show me, and find some good advice in the Bible. I really believe in reading the Word of God, because there's so much truth in that book, and it really guides my life. So yeah, I think that's really, something that I'm very, very passionate about and very grateful for. So my advice to, any listeners out there is to just know that you're never alone, and ask God for help. You're not alone. You can ask. It's amazing what you receive when you ask. It's very powerful.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about indeed. That's right. That's that wonderful God for help indeed. That's right indeed. Definitely encourage that here, and definitely glad you and the family are safe. And hey, if it's any encouragement, usually the kids find out that their parents are smart folks as they age. So yeah, the more they age, the more they realize the parents are right about a lot of things.
It's true, right? I mean, only now, um, even still in my life, at this moment, I kind of go through situations that I'm like, oh my goodness, my parents were brilliant. How did they do this? Or you look back and you think, oh wow, yeah, and now I remember my parents did this. Maybe that would work. And yeah, it's very profound. So it's good for us to know, like you say, our kids will get there. So it's encouraging.
Oh yeah, it's a long process and short process, but hey, it's gonna show up. It's gonna show up in small ways indeed. Small ways indeed. Well, heck, you haven't had any bizarre questions, so time for one of them. So, if your wonderful book Kidnapped, a story about your husband surviving that darn kidnapping from the strange folks, was a food, what would it be and why?
If that book was a food, oh, that is a very interesting question. Well, that book would be lasagna, just because I love lasagna. I love Italian food. It's my favorite meal, and I'm always, very grateful when my mom makes the best lasagna in the whole world. So, I'm always grateful when my mom makes lasagna to me. So yeah, that book would be my lasagna. It would be, all the ingredients thrown together into one book that just changes your taste buds. It changes lives. So I think I could compare it to that. That's the best I can
Hey,
do.
it's cool. Is there Italian in the family?
I don't think so. I know we have a little bit of French blood in our family. I don't think Italian. No, not really.
Oh, okay. All right, cool, cool, cool. That's right. I was about to say, oh, sure, she's got her frequent flyer miles, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. All over the globe, baby. That's right, indeed. The magical globe.
Yeah, I'm in Florida now, so I'm very, very lucky to live here. It's a little bit hot in summer, but in winter it's fantastic. We have literally 9 perfect months of the year where the weather is absolutely incredible. So very grateful. But as for now, it's summer. It's really nice and warm. So inside is the best place to be. Definitely.
Here we go. 9 perfect months out of the year. That's right. So I'm guessing what is it? June, July, August? I guess those are the worst months of the year for Florida.
Yeah, I think June you can still work with. Towards the middle of June, it gets really hot. July is very hot. And if I remember from last year, I think towards August, it gets better. It gets a little bit cooler. It's really only June and July that you suffer a little bit, suffer in silence, especially people who work outside in the heat. I have so much respect for anybody that works outside in the heat, and I can imagine in winter again, in the places where it's so cold in winter and people having to work outside. Man, that's tough. That's really, really tough. Yeah, my husband works outside at the moment, and it's hard, I have to say. Lots of respect.
That's what I'm talking about. That RESPECT, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're at 25 again, but you're in 2022, still with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
That's a good question. I like that. Um, my advice to myself would just be to believe in myself and to trust in who I am. I think my worst struggles of my life came because of the fact that I just didn't have enough confidence in who I am. And I think the most pain that in my life that I experienced was because of a lack of self-esteem, a lack of confidence in who I am, a lack of just the knowledge that I'm good enough, that I'm worthy, that I have a purpose and a plan on this earth, and to really rest in that value and not the value that we place on ourselves in terms of the world, like in terms of status, your worth, your money, your cars, your homes, all the fancy things that we kind of think, that gives us worth, but to really know that every single part of ourselves and of me, that it's worthy and it's special and it's unique and there's no one else like me. And that's why, I can have confidence in that. The more I grow in that, I feel like the more powerful I get in my own life, and the more at ease I am in my own skin, and the more I have peace and in my own life, the more I can accomplish. And that's really cool, because ultimately that's what we want to be. We want to be successful, in our own lives, and we can't do that when we're constantly fighting ourselves, thinking that we're not good enough and we're not thin enough and we're not pretty enough and we don't speak well enough. And if we keep on looking at the things that we don't do well enough, we just will never feel good. And that's really sad. I think that's what causes so much depression these days, is the fact that people just feel like they're not good enough. They don't belong. But we all do, and it's just to find that in ourselves. Nobody can do that for you. We can just all do that for ourselves. It takes hard work. It takes starting to learn yourself, take care of yourself, believe in yourself. It's a process. But yeah, that's the one thing that I would really tell myself. You're worthy, you're good enough, and you can do this. Definitely.
Heck yeah, that's right. Height doesn't matter, y'all. That's right. That's right. It don't matter. It don't matter. Intelligence, say if you got the right tools, anybody can succeed at what they choose to do. Well, for those that need to jump into more of your content, heck, maybe even check out Women Power TV, since we got some lovely lady listeners and heck, even some powerhouse guests in the past who rock the mics. What's the best way, folks, to keep in contact with you and check out all of your wares and stay inspired, Lorna style?
Oh, yes, that would be great. Please do email me, check out my website. All my details are on my website. It's www.lorna, it's Lorna, Greyling, like the color gray, GREYLING.com. So yeah, www.lornagreyling.com. And everything's on there. All my modeling, all my television shows, links to the YouTube channel, my email address, contact details. Yeah, for sure. Get in touch. I would love to hear from you, and follow us, follow our show on YouTube. We have inspiring women that share really incredible stories. And if you have an incredible story also, yeah, contact me. We might interview you.
Woo! Well, there you have it, folks. Reach out to the lovely Lorna indeed and her team indeed. Check out all of her wonderful wares. Buy some copies of her wonderful book indeed, and celebrate the fact that, hey, she got her hubby back. That's right, and she and her daughters get to have their full family indeed. And check out, because she's probably got another book cooking, waiting in the wings, just waiting to jump out the fryer, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So, my goodness, any closing thoughts before we close up shop, Lorna?
Closing thoughts. I think I would just encourage people to share their stories. You know, when we've gone through difficult times or difficult things that we in our own lives, is just don't keep it to yourself. Don't keep your stresses and your worries and your fears and anxieties. Don't internalize it, but find somebody that you can share it with. And I think in general, I just encourage people to get help. You know, you're not alone. I think COVID has made us all a little bit more, I want to say alone, you know, in-house. A lot of us don't go to the office anymore. We don't have so much contact with people anymore, and mental health and depression is really on the increase. Mental health is, you know, a big problem just at the moment. So don't keep it to yourself. Reach out, find some help, some help, and really work at ourselves. And yeah, you're never alone. It's my only closing words, is you are not alone.
Thanks a bunch for sharing some of your time out of your day to listen to the Going North podcast. I would be really honored if you head over to the website goingnorthpodcast.com and share this episode with someone that you care about. And also, for bonus points, if you like, click on the shop tab on the website and grab some gear, advance others to advance yourself if you haven't already. Have a great rest of your day and keep advancing north to your greatness.